G'day guys, welcome to this week's weekly developer update. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Once again, I have Joe with me. How are you, mate?
Doing pretty well. It's moving into the end of the year, so things kind of slowed down a little bit. People have holidays, so we'll see if we have another one of these. I think we might, but we'll definitely have it on Discord. And I know that Alex wanted to do kind of like a yearly wrap up, kind of high level overview of what we did. What we learned is usually most important, right?
Yeah.
And then where we're going.
Yeah, definitely. I've actually been doing some numbers and getting some metrics and statistics of sort of what's happened throughout the ecosystem over the past year, and it's pretty exciting actually. The amount of content and everything else that's been pushed out, but then on the development side as well, it's amazing to see.
Yeah, we've laid a lot of screen time on these videos, and I hope it's one of those things that even if somebody comes in new next year, it just gives them a lot to dig into, a lot to kind of watch and learn about Ergo, see how the development process works, learn about the community principles, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think I even shocked myself looking at the numbers, but I'm not going to sort of release anything now. You'll have to tune into the AMA. I'll provide all those numbers, so then yourself and Kushti can provide that to the community. It'll be pretty exciting, right. I think. One thing I wanted to touch on actually is sort of like the testing side of things and oracles. And I know the Oracle framework has been in development for a long time now, but each week we've been reading sort of the updates, and the last couple of times we've seen a couple of updates there basically saying or reaching out to people to have like pool operators and things like that. So I think it's maybe a good thing to mention, helping out developers on the testing front and all that sort of side of it.
Yeah, one thing that people need to recognize about building software, which is ultimately what cryptocurrency is all about, is that development comes in phases, right? You have a phase where you're kind of building things, in isolation, and then you start plugging them together and seeing how they behave as one, and then you kind of have this period where finally get everything together enough that you're on the runway. You get to see if it flies and how it flies, and then usually, you go through another period of kind of refinement, and eventually you get to like this beta phase where the best thing that can happen is you get community engagement, right? Yeah. Where people come in, they not only test and break things, which new users are generally pretty amazing at, but they also will, they have a unique eye, unique perspective, and sometimes even on like the design or the user experience, there's really a wealth of information that even somebody that doesn't, let's say necessarily know how to create the change, they'll just come in and say, hey, this feels wonky. Mm-hmm. The user flow is off. Something, should shift around to make this easier. And that's invaluable in all honesty, because then when you actually take a product to market, you have kind of the, user feedback built in, right? And, in private industry, that's something that, they hire out, right? In terms of like public infrastructure and projects on top of blockchain, we rely on the community. Now, sometimes that can be incentivized, and other times, they rely on people's kind of generosity and time. And if I look at projects that are kind of coming out, we actually have quite a few that are in that initial bootstrapping phase, where if people want to jump on and give like their feedback in terms of the user experience, what to change, what to improve, now's the best time, because it's still early days. And in terms of like Oracle pools, then you're talking about a little bit more of a technical commitment, right? Spinning up an Oracle pool is not that difficult to where if you reached out, somebody would help you. Like I do think that barrier of entry is actually a lot less daunting than people would imagine. And so I would encourage those of you that are in the community that, you know, would be interested, but maybe that's a little bit over your head. Reach out, learn a little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Jump into a little bit of command line and spin up an oracle, and it's pretty cool once you see those sort of rewards and everything sort of running over and ticking over nicely. It's yeah, very rewarding experience.
Yeah, if you're operating a node or you know, running infrastructure already, it's a great way to learn. I think sometimes there's like I'm just going to call it like the shyness barrier, where I think there are people out there that would be interested and they would love to do it. But then there's like a question, okay, are they actually willing to reach out and ask for help? Or, you know, maybe we need to just do better in terms of like, you know, spinning up a YouTube, how to support, you know, the new Oracle framework, right?
Yep.
And try to make that as accessible as possible. But even beyond Oracles, you know, that type of user feedback really is valuable. You know, we have a lot of little projects. You could look at like Swamp Audio, where, you know, they're going to be releasing a, you know, kind of a beta soon where people can get on and play with things. Or Azorus is releasing their beta where they can come and play with things. That community engagement is super valuable.
Yeah, definitely. Just to name a couple others, we've got Exle doing their testing on the front, the UI, and then also Spectrum's on the Cardano as well doing all the testing side there. So there's a number of projects that can utilize some feedback, and often, like you said earlier, having a set of fresh eyes, and you can see things from a different perspective that a lot of people who have been involved in previously might not actually recognize. So if you just walk in there, it could be something that's very blatant, like an extra user click that could be sort of deleted or something along those lines. So yeah, by all means, jump out and reach out, have the discussion, and jump in and go head first, straight in the deep end.
Especially if you're someone out there that's already has some interest in these projects.
Yeah,
you know, like if you have supported them in the past or are currently like holding their token, it's kind of in your interest in a way to, you know, get in and help them build a great product.
Yep, it's definitely very well said. All right, mate. Well, let's jump into the weekly developer update.
All right.
And kicking things off, we have MrStahlfelge. So his work this week on the Wallet app completed implementation of notifications for the Mosaic apps and released 2.3.2225 with this feature. I think he's stirring us up with the release numbers there. Also added some warning messages on ErgoPay confirmation screen for the token burning and creating boxes, and it's self-reporting a high age. That's in regards to storage rent. Integrated Mosaic notifications into Token J's Age USD dashboard with latest wallet app. If you set the dashboard as a favorite, it'll notify you for the 400% threshold changes. That's a handy little thing. And have some family time over the next week or so. So I won't be expecting to be on here and sharing anything new for the next 2 weeks. Enjoy your holidays there, mate. Just a couple of rollouts and releases in the meantime. That'll probably be the last update for the year. I want to thank everyone in the community for a great time. It's an honor to work for the Ergo, and glad to have the chance to join the team and push Ergo and its ecosystem forward for the next year or so and interact with all of you. Thanks very much, mate.
Yeah.
Enjoy your time away. Next up, we have Bitmasks.
All right. So C8E4D2A. Those of you that don't know what that means, I don't either. Bitmasks is a project kind of like way back in the day, there was something like CryptoKitties, where you could take two NFTs and combine them or mate them in some way, and you'd spin out something new. They're kind of building on that's the first of its kind in the Ergo ecosystem, where they have these little creatures with masks, and it looks like the breeding combinator has been worked on. It looks like the interactive tree for testing is still in progress, and their JS compiler for the reading grammar is coming together as well. So pretty soon, looks like Bitmask holders out there can start making babies.
Okay, so next up we have greenhat and team. So Tim L has replaced instances of the RC Ergo box and Arc Ergo box. So that's for the multi-thread environment in Sigma Rust. And then on greenhat's side, it's just fixing an issue with missing a ballot contract update found during the Oracle change update test. The fix is almost ready to go, but the prepare update command code became way too complex and has a few ideas on how to simplify it. Also spent more time than he should on an incorrect box ID error on JSON parsing. And it turned out to be that the token amount hitting the good old JS number 53-bit limit. They're running the Erg gold pool on testnet with 6 oracles. There's still a few places left, like we mentioned a little bit earlier in the intro, and please consider joining. You can jump onto the Telegram group there. Encourage everyone interested in running their own pool to start one, and has documented the process steps that they took to get this pool started on the testnet. You can jump onto that link there, how to bootstrap. And then the next target is to continue testing the contract update process, changing the number of oracles, and as always, the current progress towards the release is tracked on the roadmap. Follow the link there. Scrolling down, we have MHS.
All right, looks like we got a nice update from the Rosen side. Looks like 90% of the tests have been done. Looks like there's still a few bug fixes and improvements that they've worked on and are working on. The cold storage aspect on Ergo and Cardano has been finished. They will test and review it a bit more. Cardano node support has been added for guards as an alternative channel verification. And the Erg and ADA transfers are now under testing, and he dropped a couple of links on the Cardano scan and the Ergo Explorer. So those of you that kind of want to watch that process unfold.
Yeah, you can see the source user payments, commitment creation transactions, trigger event creation.
Now, he did add a very important note here. Since the UI supports Erg and ADA, these tokens are real, right? So they're testing the actual assets. So please do not use the bridge. No refunds or guarantees in terms of swaps at the moment. It's still something that is a work in progress, and that's kind of a let's just say danger sometimes, where people pile in prematurely and find themselves in trouble. So you potentially could lose your Erg and ADA, and the Rosen tokens that are being used are worthless. So please let them continue to work. I think he just wanted to kind of show everybody that we are live, and here's verification of it.
Yeah.
Now, it continued, he said, we're ready for another deployment and public test. The regroup process is under review. This process allows adding and removing guards. When it's done, there will be an invitation to start community testing. Now, those of you that would be interested, one thing I always recommend when you're testing beta infrastructure is spin up a new wallet that's specific for that test, and make sure you put in just enough to play with, right? Because, well, and then sometimes that doesn't end well. So,
yeah, by all means, heed that warning that you just mentioned. Yeah. But yeah, obviously, even on the risk management side. I've just put a tiny little piece in there, couple of ERG, couple of ADA, and see how that plays out, because you don't want to play with your whole bag and anything like that, because obviously being in beta, it's in a testing phase and things can go awry.
Yeah, I think when I was playing around with Exle this week, I minted 7 US or SIG USD. Like that was my test limit. So worst case, I'm out $7.
Yeah. Okay, scrolling down, next up we have Kushti, and then on the node and protocol development side, he's working on bootstrapping with the UTXO set snapshot. I think it'll take a little bit longer, so 2 to 3 weeks more, but has already managed to download the UTXO set snapshot, broken into chunks from peers, reconstruct it and apply. So there's still a lot of stabilization, polishing, refactoring, and documentation efforts ahead. He made issue 1924. He's currently working on that. Reviewed PRs in the Sigma State repo, so 801, 802, and 848. To the moment, only 802 is approved. And then on to other matters. Made another round of reviews for the Dexy contracts, except the LP found some issues on the way. Scholar Hub is fixing those at the moment and is checking the LP contract. Was part of the community chat this week, so discussed storage rent and ERP33 extensively, and has also checked Satergo's code a little bit. It was interested in how hard it would be to extend it by including optional IPFS client, etc. So there's still a lot going on, even though we're coming to the end of the year. Kushti's still full steam ahead.
He was excited when he got that first snapshot put together and chunked out from the P2P layer. That was a big step.
Yeah. And another update from MHS.
All right. So with ErgoRaffle, looks like the contracts for the next version are ready. Off-chain services will be implemented in the next months. There are 2 options for that: refactoring the current code Scala or implementing it in TypeScript. The decision is not yet made. The problem with refactoring current code is that it is mostly based on backend, and adding dApp connector is not so straightforward. Then we also have a project here, Minotaur Wallet. Nothing new, but it's very good to mention that Minotaur supports multi-sig wallets. So please try that and provide feedback. Those of you that don't know, what multi-sig allows you to do is kind of break up your key into parts that then, need like multiple signers to create the full key and then execute transactions. It can be used with a group of people, or sometimes individual users even will want that level of redundancy in their life. That way, if they have a wallet on their phone or a wallet on their laptop or something like that, and one of them grows legs, it feels safer, right?
Yeah. On a personal note, you can set up like a 2FA or a 3FA sort of side of things, just on a personal wallet.
Yeah, it's a nice security tool. Yeah. It looks like Minotaur has an EIP for implementing a multi-sig wallet that will be published soon. That way we get standards, but please consider that adding the support is not straightforward for other wallets, since its verifier is not supported by the app kit yet. So it looks like we have a little bit of tooling to do before that shows up across the ecosystem based on the EIP that they'll submit. And still working on a general dApp connector for all kinds of wallets. So we'll kind of get more, let's say, feedback advice in terms of creating standards, which is important.
Yeah, most definitely helps everyone across the board in the ecosystem. Next up, we have Captain Nemo and the Fleet SDK update. So on the core side, added plugin support, allowed manual token minting, allows item placing for data inputs and outputs, and is ensuring input inclusion by box ID. Added one plugin, which was the Babelfees plugin, and is working with Cafe in regards to documentation. So you can check it out at the GitHub there that is linked. There's a couple of examples here on the Babelfees plugin usage. So introducing the Fleet plugins. The Fleet plugins are designed on top of three principles: security, composability, and ease of use. So on the security side, the plugin scope's isolated from the rest of the transaction builder. So plugins don't have access to or can't manipulate transaction data. A token burning is possible, but it's restricted to the plugin inputs and must be explicitly allowed on the transaction builder settings. So in other words, the damage that an eventually compromised or bad plugin can cause is restricted to the inputs plugin is directly managing. Then on the composability side, plugins can be basically composed by using the transaction builder.extend method. One can buy SigUSD from the Sigma USD protocol and pay the fees using Babelfees, for example. The only limitation for composability relies on the contracts being used. And then on the ease of use, the Fleet plugin is basically a JavaScript function where an interpreter can add inputs, data inputs and outputs to the transaction and publish them as an NPM package, so any dev can make use of it. And that being said, invite all DApp developers to write Fleet plugins for your dApps. In the coming weeks, we'll write some documentation for the whole structure for now. The Babelfees plugin implementation is a good example to follow. That's huge for the ecosystem.
Yeah, that is. It's been a work in progress for quite a while, so it's a pretty amazing update.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have to give a shout out to Cafe for jumping on documentation. That's like the, I don't know, underrated hero. And when it comes to a lot of stuff that developers put together, that type of documentation is just invaluable in terms of reuse and having somebody new come in and just learn that much faster.
Yeah. I jumped onto the website a little bit earlier just to have a quick squiz of how things are set up. And yeah, the documentation is very well structured and very easy to read. So it's not too technical, but it gives all the information that you require so far, obviously being a work in progress.
All right. Looks like next we have Ilya. Looks like Spectrum has been working on the LM bots for Ergo and improved the LM staking history, pool listings, etc. in JS SDK.
Yep. Short and sweet one there from Ilya. Next up, we have Sky Harbor and an update from Quokka. So the cart checkout feature is now complete. Just need some more testing of edge cases before release. Then the docs contracts can come out. I know they said that last week, but we're seeing this being done this week for sure. You're flirting with danger there, Quokka. And ErgoPay backend is set up, so building transactions for it currently. Thank you very much for the update, mate.
Yeah, it's great to see.
And scrolling down, we have Morphic.
All right, so on Sigma, he's updated issues, PRs, statues, milestones, roadmaps in Sigma, and updated the language spec, reviewed additional comments, and updated the Sigma PR for Kushti's review. Learned and set up scalably typed and imported Fleet SDK common into Sigma.js. This way, TypeScript modules of Fleet can be reused directly in Sigma.js. Next up, it's going to be the Sigma.js implementation of Sigma.js prover to sign and transact our transactions coming from Fleet. So that's great. It looks like in the coming weeks, Nemo is going to showcase the Fleet SDK and start with the Nautilus integration. And what that's going to open up is the DApp tab that he's teased us with.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of screenshots on that one. So yeah, looking forward to it. Next up, we have ErGflip. So they added Russian roulette, roll the dice, and pick a number from 1 to 10. So that increased maximum bet sizes and willing to add more Ergo native tokens from different projects. So if anyone's willing to have their token listed, hit them up. And is currently working on a new game that they're willing to keep secret for now. It'll take a little bit longer than these last simple games, maybe up to about 3 weeks, he thinks, at this stage. So
Great to see.
Keeping us in suspense. And next up, we have our favorite meme coin, Comet.
All right, so it looks like they launched their decentralized lottery this week. The ticket price was 250,000 Comet, which sounds like a lot, but I have no idea what that translates into Erg. Not a lot.
Yeah, not sure.
Wallets that hold more than 10 million Comet will get 2.5% drops from the lottery pool after there is a winner. The Comet NFT holders will get 4%. 2.5% will get burnt. 1% will go to the Comet treasury. This week's lottery didn't pick a winner. Every Comet in the pool went to the next lottery. So they're doing kind of I guess in the US, we have like Powerball where it rolls over. The Comet lottery pool now holds 6.75 million Comet. Looks like a work in progress is adding alerts if wallet doesn't have a Comet amount. Also, work in progress is adding stats on the front end. Looks like he dropped both the Comet lottery smart contracts and the Docker, which is great to see. So you can now run back-end bot via Docker and play around with Comet. I have to kind of give them the dog on the Comet thumbs up thing at the bottom of that.
Oh, there we go. It's good to see that they're actually contributing and jumping in and getting involved in the ecosystem and providing some nice little bit of entertainment there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many times it rolls over before we have a winner.
True. Okay, so next up we have LowKeyNerd and BlitzTCG. So someone questioned why they didn't provide an update last week. He's saying, my bad. So over on the Blitz side, they've almost wrapped up the deck builder code. It's able to do a few cooler things now, also merging projects with their dev partner to get matchmaking stood up in its basic form. The no card abilities yet, etc. Art is still progressing nicely, and over 60% is complete. So around 170 cards are needed for the release. Funds are in a good place overall, just slowly and steadily progressing. There's nothing at this point that will prevent the release of the Blitz aside from extremely unfortunate and unforeseen events, e.g. I get hit by a bus. Please don't do that, mate. Once the project is in more of a final state and happy with how the code looks, we'll share the entirety of the project code on GitHub and start managing the releases from that. A new public playtest will be posted to the Discord in a couple of days for folks who want to try and break the deck builder once again. And thanks again to all the testers for all the help.
It's awesome. Yep. Yeah, so if you want to play around, hop in their Discord.
Yep. And scrolling down, we have anetaBTC.
All right, so it looks like Willie is fixing V1 protocol, squashing bugs that are preventing minting and redeeming transactions to be posted through Nautilus, stabilizing the redeem function, continued integrating the Ergo API into the wrapping dashboard, integrated database for managing submissions and user queries during the testnet launch.
Yep, thank you. And more to the Comet update that you provided earlier. They do have an update. Looks like they have a winner.
Have a winner.
It's funny, actually. I actually know who the winner is, and it's quite
When are they
funny.
retiring? CW, Lotto Comet winner.
It wasn't myself. No, it was actually Koutelier, I believe. The one who, yeah, obviously everything's open source and everything like that. There's no funny business going on behind the scenes.
But you know what? Maybe he's just the biggest degen. Bought the most tickets.
Buy other tickets. Okay, and yeah, just following on from this, a little update on Comet from MGpai. As Koutelier mentioned, the Comet lottery was launched this week, and the backend's now open sourced. The first round was a success, and the off-chain bot made for Comet is simple but effective. Will likely be used with Ergo Sapiens and ErgoNames also. So please take a look at the link, and the documentation will be coming soon. Other than that, it's just excited to get back onto Ergo Sapiens and ErgoName next week after finals. Good luck with all the finals.
Good luck with the tests.
Yep. And next we have Glasgow.
All right. So one thing that Glasgow has been working on this year, which is pretty invaluable, is taking all of these bits of information from all over the place and compiling them into a place that's easily digestible. So it looks like he split the navigation between top nav and side nav, so it's a lot clearer to move through. He's tidying and added stuff to the application and use case section. If your project is missing, feel free to hop on and add it. Started loading the latex from various foundational documents, multi-sig protocols, ergo tree specifications, and videos of kushti or other devs, so that everything is kind of in one place, indexed, searchable. And so, you know, if you're coming into the ecosystem, that documentation is great to dive into. Looks like he created a cryptographic section, loaded more technical information, and fleshing out more details in terms of mining. Loaded the application.config and tidying up descriptions. Many of these are still a work in progress. The to-do list of next tasks now kept on the link to repos readme.md. As usual, any input is appreciated with the channel here, education, where webhook now auto posts any Git activity. Feel free to DM him if you want to get repository of your own linked on the channel. You know, that type of, let's say, open source organization is just huge. You know, a lot of the times we have people that are building open source frameworks in different areas, and, you know, documentation kind of comes, a lot of times it's like cleanup work, right? But having someone kind of come in from a higher level and organize everything and index it and create a nice library for everybody is beautiful. So great work.
Yeah, I can't sort of overstate the amount of work that's gone into this as well. Finding all the information, like trolling old forum posts and Discord posts, all these little bits and pieces of information found throughout the entire ecosystem, and just sort of culminating all in these docs repo, and then basically rewording things, going through editing, you name it. It's a huge undertaking. So if you have any chance to get on there and provide some help and go through and assist Glasgow on that, by all means jump in and help him out. So here we go. Update from Koutelier. Update V3. Apparently I won. Only bought one ticket. Sorry, sirs. I guess I'm very lucky. Was winning all the time on ErGflip, apparently. So we promise the game isn't fixed. Take a look at the smart contracts.
Yeah, we'll see next time who wins.
Yeah. Proof will be in the pudding. Okay, next up we have ErgoPOS.
All right, so it looks like POS is fixed some bugs, and enhanced a few things. Looks like the limit to the amount entered so that the user does not accidentally enter too large of an amount and an error occurs. Solved the problem of imperfect display due to long addresses. Solved the problem with slow loading of customer lists, created index searching. Solved the error caused by too long of an input when querying customers. Add checking to avoid confusion caused by the same product name, and add checking to avoid confusion by the same customer name. It looks like the Tabby app done and ready to pay with QR code.
Nice. It's coming along very well by the looks of things. Scrolling down, we have Balb from ErgoNames. Has been traveling all morning, so super late update here. I finished the semester, so I'll now have a lot more time over the next 3 weeks. They've been working on using Plasma for the ErgoNames registry and believe that they are close to a working MVP and just finishing up a syncing engine for the backend.
Awesome.
And just continuing on, Keith just has a little update from Exle. This is private beta testing of the UI is underway at the moment. And next we have Satergo.
Looks like on ergonodes.net, which if anybody wants to hop in, it's kind of a way to kind of crawl through the nodes, look at the network. Looks like the versions older than 4.0.30 are now collapsed into a single slice of pie. Those of you that are running 4.0.30, please catch up with the network. It's possible to restore the old behavior by adding a command to the end of the page URL.
Yeah, now we're in the era of 5.0. Yeah, by all means, jump on and update everything.
Yeah, I might even have an old node on a laptop somewhere that I probably need to sync. So, oops.
Come on, mate.
Slacking.
Okay, next up we have an Unreal and update from the auction house. So all pages are now responsive on desktop, tablet, and mobile. They now send the proper notifications for the bidder, artist, and royalty shareholders on the events such as sales. There's a dark mode, which is almost there. I believe there was an update on Twitter, actually. A couple of screenshots. Just a few fixes needed in the next week. The API now provides statistics for a collection, e.g. total volume and floor price. They're constantly testing their website on testnet and mainnet, and will soon be available to artists to test the new UI and provide feedback. There's the ability to mark an artwork as a favorite, has been added to the backend and API, and is going to implement it in the UI. There's a few improvements that have been done in the backend regarding sending funds to the royalty shareholders and transaction fees. Backend now has the ability to provide featured artworks so that they can be shown in the homepage and other designated places in the UI. And the exact current price is calculated in the backend and is provided by the API. And this is important, especially for Dutch auctions, in which the artwork price declines over time. And there's a couple of UI fixes regarding auction cards, filters, and sorting. Footers, the buttons in the header and search page, etc., etc.
So I got a question for you, CW.
Sure.
Dark mode or light mode type character?
I'm dark mode, hands down, through and through. I'm on the dark side. Yourself?
I'm too lazy, man. I'll just go with what's default. That's the honest truth. I don't.
No, I've had to go or adopt the dark mode because when you're jumping on the computer at who knows what time for meetings or whatever, and you're jumping on and you've just come out of bed or something and it's just stark white and everything like that, it just burns the retina. So yeah, I've had to adopt the dark mode.
I just take a slap in the face. That's how it's gonna.
Good times. Okay, I believe that's the weekly developer update.
Yeah, Good stuff. I know that a lot of people are probably going to take some time off for the holidays, be with family. So if we do have another developer update, I imagine it'll be pretty light. I just hope everybody out there, has a good time, family, friends, most importantly around here, food.
Definitely.
Have a good time. We got to enjoy life.
Yeah, definitely. For myself, this will be my last dev update for the year. I'll be heading away on holidays with my family and a couple of friends as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in throughout the year. It's been a pleasure. It's my favorite time to jump onto the dev updates and go through those each week with you, Joe, and provide the content for the community. It's fantastic, I think.
All right, mate. Safe travels. I hope you, your family, your friends have a good time.
Cheers. I'll come back about 10 kilos heavier. Don't you worry.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, guys, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a good one and stay safe and happy holidays, however you celebrate them. Have a good one.